Or good afternoon or good morning or good whatever time of day it is wherever you are. It's Friday and it's beer o'clock right here in Redcar. Cheers, everyone. Oh, dear mate. People usually ask, so let's get this out the way straight away. The groceries came from Morrison's this week, hence the Heineken. Actually, usually when I shop at Morrison's, I often get Holston Pills, but they didn't have it this week. So Heineken it is. We can muddle on through with that, I'm sure. Yes, let's have a look and see who's in. I see we've got a few familiar faces or avatars or names or whatever in, but more importantly, who gets the teacher's pet prize for being the first in this week? We got Grandpa Joe first in. How are you, mate? Then Anton and Rent to Kill. Steve Hale is there, so is Ian Clark. Yes, hi all from sweaty Sussex. Yes, proper early this week. Yeah, I'm going to talk about this weather we're having at the moment shortly. It's not entirely to my taste, I'll be honest. Then we've got Mark Kerno, Vincent Brennan, Mike Hurley. Let's have a look. We've got Relaxing Meditation saying, hi, John and everyone. Hope you're all well and not suffering from the heat so much. Beer in the fridge, cooling ready for 5 o'clock. Yes, indeed. It's the kind of weather where nothing works better than a cold beer, isn't that right? Then we've got Michael Dodds saying one of my lines there. John, I'm sweating like a fat lad in a cake shop. Or what's the other one I heard recently? Sweating like a chav in a maths test. That's another one for you. Cylon Hybrid is in, so is Gordo Canuck. And then we got Jeff C and Terry S. Johnny Random is there. So is Dr. Gomez 1 and Terry Day. Scrolling down, I see we've got Peter Collins and Peter Nicholson, and there's Edwin Toonan bringing up the rear there. And a bit of chit chat going on there between you chaps. Amadeus is in, and we've got David James, and there's Paul Trainer, BSc no less, and Phil B is in. There's who else we got? Sorry, the chat just jumped. And we got Michael Purcell there as well, and Michael Palmer. Saying greetings from a tropical County Durham, home of the Prince Bishops and a canny fish and chips. Yes. I have this theory, certainly in the UK, that, the best fish and chip shop is always the one nearest to you. I think it's because you just develop your taste buds for whatever they, for the fish and chips they do. I honestly believe that the one around the corner from me is probably the best one. But then again, that's because it's around the corner from me, and it's just too tempting sometimes when the wind's blowing in the right direction. The smell of battered fish and hot lard just wafts in through our front room window, and it's irresistible. Then we've got Phil and Stratboy 999 and Sean House is there. There's John Ross, Derek Clacton, John Mack, Michael Belliveau is in, and so is 60s man. Jimmy James is there, David Evans as well, and we got James Hunt there. Brad Matthews is in, so is PFY Guitars, and Stephen Sprossen, I do apologise if I butchered that then. We got Theme Tunes, and Gary Shaw is in. How are you, mate? And then scrolling down, I can see we've got Colin Falcon, local lad, just around the corner from me, Colin. Then there's Cornucopia, Mickey Walnuts. Is it JARG or JARG Records? You're in as well. Looks like you're having a beer as well. And then the Essex Cat and Bill Mumbo and the Time Prophet, all of the regulars starting to kind of wander in. Then we've got Pseudo Scott. And Who else have we got? We've got. I see. I've got a super chat there from Paul Trainer. Thank you very much, mate. And then we've got Thomas Mulvaney and Pseudo Scott is saying that beer looks so cold and enticing. It is, mate. It is. And if the conversation that I'm due to have with my new doctor, because I've just switched surgeries, goes the way I expect it to go on Wednesday, then I expect that that this will have to kind of take a little bit of a back seat. Not entirely, but just when you check the recycling bin and you think, oh, did I do all of those? And you kind of feel a bit proud, don't you? Well, yeah. I suspect I'm going to be having that conversation come Wednesday. Then we've got Bob Contreras and Gearview Mirror. And who else we got? We got Janice L. And Maria Davies saying, hiya, John. Well, hiya, Maria. How are you? Nick Pilson is there, so is Pablo Hank. And Ravensmead Budget Guitar Show is there. And are you on holiday, mate? You lucky devil. We've got Calogero in. Long time no see, mate. How are you? Dave Fiendish is in as well. He says he can't join us live tonight, but I'll be there in spirit. I'll catch up later. Enjoy and cheers, TTFN. John Channing is there. And who else have we got? We got G-Man 57, Calby and the Rocco Cat Watches and Guitars, and Edwin Toonen. You are a legend, sir. Dutch beer sponsored from Amsterdam. Enjoy, mate. I have to admit, I was practicing beer drinking yesterday. There is nothing quite so refreshing when the weather turns this way, is there? Colm Cross, thank you, mate, for ice cubes. You don't put ice cubes in beer, mate. James Hunt. Oh, disproving my fish and chip shop theory. There you go. Excuse me. Steve Cassidy guitar is in, and then we've got Ravi is in, and Muskie, and who else we got? I think Dave Stevens, Deco Dude is in. Did I say you already? I can't quite remember. And then we got Cushman NYC. I presume that means I'm speaking to somebody in New York City, as I was saying last week. Just kind of conversing like this with people in these far-flung places that have got, in my tiny little parochial English Yorkshire mind, just this this fantastic romanticized reputation. It's humbling, quite honestly. Anyway, that's the register done. If I forgot to call your name out, but so we've got Randy Upchurch. How are you, mate? If I didn't call your name out, it's not because I'm ignoring you, it's just because I'm a kind of dopey, middle-aged, short-sighted old scrot who forgets things. So, what we got coming up on the channel this week? Well, you probably already know what Sunday's video is. It's that rather wonderful Gibson Custom Shop Les Paul Custom that I unboxed yesterday. Well, I didn't unbox it yesterday, but you saw me unboxing it yesterday. Just in case there are any people of a burgling fraternity in, that rather expensive guitar no longer resides at my residence. It's gone. It's gone back to its rightful owner. The jammy sod who won that in a raffle. That Guitar Gear giveaway, I have to tell you, is I thought when prizes like that, it's got to be like 30, 40 quid a ticket. So I went on the website. It was only $3.99 a ticket. So I bought some. Didn't win anything, but doesn't mean I won't I won't do it again. Because I don't play the lottery anymore. Haven't done for a while. When our National Lottery first started, I used to put it on every week, and For a good few years, like a couple of times a year, I'd get like 3 numbers, 10 quid prize. You know, I thought, oh, that's all right. You know, I'm not winning. You know, if you kind of if you do the numbers, I'm not winning anything. But it's nice to get a little bit back. And then I just went, oh gosh, years and years and years, never got a thing, so I stopped doing it. So there you go. But I think I might just kind of have a regular little flutter on that Guitar Gear giveaway. Talking of Les Paul customs, there's one I want to speak to you about later on in the stream. I will try and remember, but you know what I'm like. I get into me flow and I end up forgetting things, but we'll try and get that. So anyway, that's Sunday's video, the Les Paul custom. Then on Monday, well, Monday's video is entitled The Clapton Paradox, because I have this thing about Eric Clapton, you see. When he's good, he's very, 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 very good. And when he's not, he's just, well, frankly, you could walk into any kind of pub open mic night and see any number of guitarists that could equal what he's doing. You know, in his own autobiography, he admits that for big stretches of his career, he was more interested in partying and holidaying, and he was just phoning it in. But occasionally, the spark just kind of reignites. And the paradoxical thing is that I don't think he's ever had a better guitar tone than his old kind of black mongrel bits and pieces parts caster Strat called Blackie, which now I believe resides in one of the branches of the Hard Rock Cafe. So he had that guitar, a brilliant tone out of that guitar, but it was like it sort of covered most of that period when he was just not really firing on all cylinders. But occasionally, just every now and again, the stars aligned, all the ducks were in a row, so to speak. And, you know, he had the best tone he's ever had in his career. And, you know, he was just kind of firing, as I say, on all cylinders. And you got an incredible solo out of him with an incredible tone. And it's one of those that we're looking at on Monday from an album that is frankly a bit forgettable, all in all. It's from an album from, I think, 1984 called Behind the Sun, which, you know, your mileage may vary. You might think it's one of his best works. I don't, but there is one track on there which I still remember as track 1, side 2, I think, when you had it on vinyl, that has a fantastic guitar solo in it, and that is the one we're looking at on Monday. If anybody is as much of a Clapton nerd as me and can tell me what that song is, then please feel free to put it in the chat. Then Tuesday is a top 5 video, as is usual around these parts. Oh, Anton, there you go, my friend. You are officially as much of a Clapton nerd as me, forever, man. That's the... No, not Bad Love, Ian Clark. We've solved that problem. It's Forever Man. Bad Love's a great solo, but that was like later, and he was playing the... He'd retired Blackie by 89 when he did Bad Love. But anyway, the Tuesday video, Top 5 Tuesday, as I say, we're doing guitars that make me curious. You know, you've got guitars that you really kind of lust after. Guitars that you really kind of, you know, hanker after, and, you know, the bucket list guitars. And I've done a couple of videos on these in the past. But then there's a category below that, isn't there, really, where they're just guitars that, I should check those out one day. I don't have a kind of burning desire to kind of get my hands on one of these, but I'm hearing lots of kind of stuff about these guitars, and, you know, I'm just, it's piqued my curiosity. So that's what Tuesday's video is all about: guitars that make me curious. What you're saying there? Entered a raffle for a Sir guitar from Justin Guitar, but I didn't win it. Oh well, fair enough, mate. It's the nature of these raffles, isn't it? If a majority of people won, then, you know, the raffle wouldn't really kind of last very long, would it? So then Wednesday is once again a viewers' questions video, and I've tackled this subject before. But I'll be honest, at the time I did this, putting this video together, I didn't have a lot of a lot of viewers' requests in the stockpile, as it were. They kind of ebb and flow, these viewers' questions. You know, I'll get a glut of them, and then I'll kind of work way through them, and then they'll be like, okay, what's left? And I didn't have a lot of source material to go from. So hence, on Wednesday, we are looking at soloing with arpeggios. Not for the first time, but hopefully, you know, every time I return to a topic, hopefully I can bring something new to it. Yeah, then where are we? On Thursday, we're checking out a pedal. Well, a couple of pedals, actually. We're checking out one of these. Got my hands on one of these. Dave, if you're watching, by the way, the chap who's loaned me this, anytime you're ready, you can come and pick it. I've lost your phone number, so I couldn't get in touch with you. But yeah, this is an original late 80s Marshall Governor pedal, and you can tell it's from the late 80s because on the back, I don't know if you can see that there. It says use a PP3 battery. Can you remember when those little batteries, those little square 9-volt batteries were called PP3s? That's a while ago, isn't it? Yeah, so we're checking out the Marshall Governor on Thursday, and we're putting it up against this pedal, the SMJ Tube Drive Legend. Can you hear Dougal in the background? I may have to go and see what that's all about in a second. So talk amongst yourselves while I do. But yeah, Ian, you very kindly sent me this pedal as a little present. And when I checked it out, I remember thinking, that sounds a lot like a Marshall Governor. Well, on Thursday, we're going to find out exactly how much it sounds like a Marshall Governor. Dr. Gomez one is saying, I see your Gibson is now on the wall of doom. The wall of it. That's not. Is that the wall of doom? No. The exit position, if there is one, isn't really where you can see. It's over in that corner, over there. Usually, a guitar that's on its way out will end up there. I know the indie guitar ended up over there, but that was on there. No, the Gibson is going absolutely nowhere. That you can have that Les Paul when you pry it from my cold dead hands. I'm afraid it's I've bonded unexpectedly well with that guitar. You know, you spend 30 years waiting for the right Les Paul, waiting for a Les Paul to come along, and then two arrive at once, because that Sire is another one that is a belter of a guitar. Honestly, if you've never tried a Sire guitar, then just pick one up. Same with Ert guitars. You know, the Ert Corsair. I've got a couple of videos featuring that coming up shortly. But yeah. But anyway, speaking of Les Pauls, give you a little teaser. A couple of weeks ago, this guitar here, lovely white Epiphone Les Paul Custom. It's for sale. It's up on eBay at the moment. I'm asking 400 quid for it on eBay. But if you're interested here, I'm sure we can come to something a little, just as a private sale between us. Then I'm sure we can come to something a little bit more, you know, kind of civilized, because won't be paying eBay sellers fees. I feel compelled to point out that there is a paint chip in the back here. You can possibly see that it's had a little bit of a repair done to it, which you're going to be seeing me doing that in a video in a few weeks' time. But this guitar is officially for sale. It's up on eBay for 400 quid, but make me a sensible offer. Send me, you know, express your interest via my email address, which is, as I'm sure you know, jrguitartuition@gmail.com. You know, I will happily consider sensible offers, and you know, we can hopefully come to some sort of arrangement. Anyway, let me just get rid of that, just to pop up on the screen. So yes, nice little guitar for sale. As I say, it's up on eBay at the moment, but let's if we can do it, without involving people who are going to charge me money to sell it, then fair enough. I will ship it free anywhere in the UK as well, by the way. J. Young is saying Alpine white customs are a thing of beauty. Yeah, it's borderline for me. I will be honest with you. It's borderline. It's depending what mood I'm in. I think, do you know what? That looks so drop dead gorgeous. And then other times I'll look at it and I'll think, it is a bit Liberace, isn't it? It is a bit footballers' wives. So. Excuse me while I just provide myself with some more lubrication. Time Prophet is asking, can you demonstrate how to play the guitar and sing at the same time? In a word, no. Because, that would require the ability to play the guitar, which I think I have, but it would also require the ability to sing. And over the years, when you get into a rehearsal room with a band and, you're turning up every week or every couple of weeks to kind of start putting the set together and, just kind of generally get things kind of squared off, figuring out endings, that sort of thing. And, what key we're going to do it in and this, that, and the other. Inevitably, there will always be the request, can we have some backing vocals off you, John? I'll say, yes, certainly. And I'll croak my way through the rest of the rehearsal. And then next week, never ever a mic stand set up for me. Never, ever. Funny how that happens, isn't it? I see somebody's asking for a shot of Blondie. Here we go. Here she is, resplendent in that beautiful buck-matched flame maple top. And lovely guitar. Every time I pick this guitar up, I suppose because it's my signature guitar, I always think, why do I ever play anything else? But then again, I'll pick up the PRS or the ERT or the Sire or the Les Paul, and I think, why do I ever play anything else? But yeah, this is my Lucille. This is the one that would have me running back into the burning building to rescue, as I often say. Let's have a look, see what else we got. Sasha Distel, now there's a name from the past, was a great jazz guitarist. I did know that. I can't remember how I knew it, but I vaguely remember him on some Val Doonican show in the 70s. Now there's another blast from the past. Everybody outside the UK is going, who? Val Doonican. He was a big thing on Saturday night kind of variety TV in the UK. I remember Sasha Distel, I think, on that show being like one of the star guests one week, and he came out and played some blistering guitar, I seem to remember, in a jazz sense, Johnny Random, someone wrote a book on when Blondie makes a showing. Yes, that's easily open to abuse, though, isn't it? Because somebody could kind of rig it with me. Let's have a look, see what else we got. G-Man 57 is saying, got many Gibsons, but just bought a second-hand vintage brand Flying V and love it. Those vintage brand guitars are astonishing. I mean, there are certain brands of guitar and certain models of guitar that sort of made me realize that cheap guitars are, becoming professional instruments. I think the first one was back in, I think, 93 when Yamaha first brought out the Pacifica 112, and playing on the local club circuit as I was at the time, you started seeing a lot of working musicians, using Pacifica 112s, maybe sometimes as like the backup instrument, or maybe, in case they broke a string, or maybe they might need it in a different tuning because they're doing that Rolling Stones song that needs something in open G and they need a guitar for that. But yeah, that was when you first started seeing what were kind of, in inverted commas, beginner guitars becoming, things that you would see in the hands of professional musicians in a professional setting. And the vintage brand guitars, again, I don't know if you remember, maybe there still are these adverts running, but back in the days when I used to read guitar magazines, you'd see people like, kind of professional guitar players, people like Jeff Whitehorn, who earns a living being, apart from many things, Elkie Brooks's musical director and playing guitar with Bad Company in Procol Harum and being the guy who demonstrates Marshall amps. So like somebody who's kind of at a reasonably high tier in the industry, playing a vintage brand guitar. The guy out of Saxon playing a vintage brand guitar. Robbie Gladwell, Dr. Robert from the guitar magazine. He was using it, and again they're the sort of their beginner level prices. So that was when I first started thinking, okay, yeah. The era of cheap guitars being cheap and nasty seems to be a thing of the past. Let's have a scroll down, see what these new comments are. Colin Falcon, what you're saying there, mate? When you sell the white Epi, don't ship via Royal Fail. I bought something from a company in Hartlepool, sent on 48-hour delivery. Royal Fail sent it on a 370-mile journey. Yeah, the thing is, mate, courier firms, they're all, everybody has got a horror story about a courier firm. I will never, ever, ever use Hermes ever again. If there's something I want and I get a whiff that it's going to be shipped by Hermes or Every, as they're now called, I will just not buy it. I'll wait and try and find it somewhere else. And it's, and DHL, some people often say it stands for drop it, hide it, lose it. And then there was CityLink, who are, now no longer with us. They were universally known as Shitty Link, weren't they? So everybody's got some kind of horror story about courier firms. My only beef with Parcel Force and Royal Mail is that they have that proclivity to put that card through your door saying, sorry you were out, when you were actually in and waiting for the doorbell to ring, and not turning up when they say they're going to. I've never had anything damaged or lost with Royal Mail or Parcel Force. So, yeah, it's hard to say who is the best of the bad bunch then. Where are we? Let's see. What were you saying there, Henry? Been touring for years with XSLF, X Stiff Little Fingers, with my vintage Graham Oliver SG. What a guitar. Yep. Can't disagree with you on that. Graham Campbell is talking about FedEx. What are you saying there, mate? Both my orders, one replacing the other from GAC, 24 hours and 28 hours late, respectively. GAC refunded the postage costs. So I will say that Guitar Amp Keyboard, or GAC, I've not had that many dealings with them, but every time I have, it's always been, they've always been kind of gone out of the way to be helpful. It's the only beef I have with them actually is that 90% of the time you go on their website, and maybe it's just me, I've been unlucky, but you're looking for a specific thing and you think, oh, they've got it in, and oh, it's a good price. Oh, out of stock. And it's like anything that you want is usually out of stock with them. Colm Cross, what you're saying there, mate? Bought a Faisley after your recommendation. I'm happy and I know it. Well, good for you, mate. Oh, and Michael Purcell, yes, that's a blast from the past. Roger Whittaker, the whistling guitarist. Yeah, I'm going to leave old Durham town, indeed. The geography in that song was a little bit suspect. Durham isn't on the Tyne, but, anyway. Do you know anything about Gary Moore playing a guitar on a kids' TV show in the 80s or 90s? I've been told about it, but I don't know what the show may have been called. There's two clips that you might be talking about there. It wasn't specifically a kids' TV show. Oh, I suppose it was aimed at younger people. It was called Rock School, and it was on the BBC. And it was basically a rock band in a recording in a TV studio, and every week they would show you how to play blues or metal or reggae or soul or whatever, and the drummer would take you through the techniques involved in that style of music, and the bass player would do their thing and the guitarist would do their thing, and interspersed with that there would be interviews with and demonstrations from famous musicians in that genre. And the heavy metal week, they were talking to Gary Moore, and he was playing stuff off, I think he was playing stuff off his Corridors of Power album, so that kind of dates it a little bit. And then there's definitely a clip I've seen of Gary and his band playing whatever their latest single was, not actually playing, but just kind of lip syncing and miming in the studio on one of those kind of Saturday morning kids TV kind of, things that used to go from about 9 on the morning till, lunchtime, swap shop, Saturday Superstore, Alive and Kicking, or whatever, kind of whatever the one was at the time. And that'll have probably been around the sort of wild frontier or after the war kind of period. So we're talking late 80s there. On Road Again is saying, I'd love to know more about your jazz album. Any chance of a lesson how you approach jazz chord changes? Thanks for all your videos. Right, okay. That is officially on the viewers' questions, VQ. They're all in a folder in my Dropbox under VQ. Jazz chord changes playing over. Yeah, I mean, it's basically the scale you're going to need to know is picks up PRS. I'm not plugged in at the moment, but hopefully you can hear that. The scale you're going to need to know is the melodic minor, because if you have what's called a 2-5-1 sequence, B minor 7, E7 to A, like that, for mash, get smash. There we go. What you would play over that is B melodic minor. So like that sort of thing. But I'll do a proper video on that. Probably sometime in August. That's how far I'm backed up at the moment. Malcolm Spillett, yes, the video on altered tunings is in the pipeline, mate. Compost corner, fair enough. I'm currently working on videos for the first week in August. So that's how far in advance I'm doing the video. So the altered tunings one is it is coming. I haven't forgotten, mate. James Hunt has never tasted Smash, but used to love the adverts. Yes. It's for our international viewers, Smash is a brand of instant mashed potato. You just pour boiling water on it and you get something that looks a lot like mashed potato, and can be made to taste pretty good as well. You just put a big dollop of butter into it, and maybe some grated cheese, and if like me, you're too lazy to peel potatoes and boil them and then mash them, and you just want kind of some carbohydrate to sit next to something on your plate, then it's acceptable enough. Michael Broadhead. Deirdre Cartwright off Rock School was a major crush of mine. Now tell the truth, chaps. Yes, she was very easy on the eye. I will say that. And she had some fearsome technique as well. She had some fearsome guitar playing technique. So I suppose the only thing that could have made her more attractive is if she owned a pub. Fantastic guitar player, good looking, and owns a pub. There you go. Fill your boots, gentlemen. Steve Cassidy, you got to have mustard in the mash. Oh, indeed, yes, indeed. It's that goes without saying. The thing is, I am, an Englishman to me core, and I love English food, and one of my favourite dishes is sausage and mash with onion gravy. But my wife's Canadian, and that is lost on her. It's like, it's the idea of mashed potatoes and gravy and sausages is just like so far out of her comfort zone that she's, it's like, she says, you can eat it, but I'm not going anywhere near it. So there you go. Yes, indeed. Flake. Well, not too bad. It's not too bad. Heineken is usually quite cooperative with the poor. Spanish beer I was on a few weeks back, Madri. Dear me, that's an impossible pour. So let's have a look, see what else I've been missing in the chat while I've been blethering on about instant mashed potato. Josh Alexander, what he's saying, sorry late, I'll try not to be late in future, just had the grandson round. Well, you're here now, that's what matters, mate. I hope you've got a beer. What else have we got? Have I missed anything? Jazz gets shit on. The players are effing amazing and they do mostly clean without distortion to hide the mistakes. Well, distortion doesn't really hide your mistakes. It just kind of... I view... You see, this is something that is a bit of a debate that, effects and overdrive in particular. It just changes the nature of the instrument. It's like going from playing a grand piano to playing, a Wurlitzer organ. You're still going to notice the wrong notes, even though the timbre and the sound of the instrument is different. But I do agree with you. I mean, another guitar player who never uses just even the tiniest bit of sizzle on his amp is Albert Lee. Now, there's a guy who, I suppose the one thing overdrive does give you is, you can do what I do, which is all the kind of twiddly legato sort of stuff and not have to worry about kind of actually going to the effort of picking those notes. The guitar is giving you those notes for free with that kind of sound. But Albert Lee, yeah, just an absolutely brutally clean sound, completely unforgiving. And, if he doesn't kind of pick the note, it ain't going to be there. So what a player he is. As I've said many times, nice bloke as well. I met him once and had a beer with him. John Mack, distortion might cover a weak legato note. It covers many in my case, mate. So there you go. Fiend tuned us in. Madri has never been anywhere near Spain. It's a British brew con. I did not know that. I did not know that. What are you saying there, David Evans? Deirdre Cartwright must have had one of the very early PRS guitars, given the time frame. Yeah, I seem to remember most of those episodes of Rock School where Deirdre Cartwright was on. She was always playing either like a white Strat, or there was this Schecter, I think it was, twin humbucker Strat. That's when I first heard of Schecter guitars, actually. I remember freeze framing the old VHS video of the show, you know, how it used to jump. And things that weren't moving in those old VHS kind of videos, things that were absolutely static, stock still, you press the pause button and they would begin to move. But anyway, somehow or other, I managed to kind of decode the name on the headstock of that guitar that she played. Beautiful guitar with all gold hardware, and it was Schecter. And I do seem to remember her playing a PRS, and that can't have been, I think it was in the second series, which will have made it about 86, 87 or thereabouts. Jay Aoyong is saying, can't really get along with the PRS somehow. This might change your mind, but tough luck, mate. You're not getting it. This one's never leaving. The neck on it is just a thing of it's divine. I've got a mate who's probably watching this now who's plays a little bit of guitar, but he's not really into guitars per se. And he always kind of says to me, you want to get rid of that guitar, it's ugly. I don't care. It plays like a hot knife through butter, and it's just the simple switch layout on it, coil split on the, or coil tap, or whatever you want to call it. I can't say coil tap, but you know, on the tone control, volume control. You know, if you're going to play through a single channel amp and try to get and go from everything from clean, crunchy cowboy chord, clean kind of spangly cowboy chords, crunchy rhythm, and searing kind of high gain lead without going near a pedal, just using the tone control and the volume control, this is the guitar. And as I say, it's an immensely good guitar. You know, I did a video about this called The Perfect PRS. And it's just, if it wasn't for Blondie, that would be my number one guitar. Michael Broadhead, can you do a review of the Frank Gambale Mode's No More Mystery vid with an explanation on what on earth he's talking about? I've seen that video, and I will admit that I've seen it twice. I saw it before I understood modes back in the sort of 80s sometime when it came out. You know, with his pink shirt and his leather trousers and his mullet. Oh dear me, yes. Who was it who said? Actually, I think it was Oscar Wilde, wasn't it? Who said, "Fashion is a form of ugliness so intolerable it has to be changed every 3 months." Yes, indeed. Yeah, the mullet and the pink shirt and the leather trousers. Indeed. Yeah, I remember seeing that video back in the 80s. I didn't buy it. A friend of mine had it and just was more confused by the end of it. And then I've seen clips of it since on YouTube and thinking, well, yeah, that all makes perfect sense. So that's kind of an explanation of where I am with that video. Modes are massively important, right? You're using them all the time, even if you don't know you're using them all the time. And it's in my experience over 30 years as a guitar teacher, it is the one topic that so many people get tied in knots about. But I've done countless videos on the topic. So is it time to do another one? I don't know. We shall see. But yeah, I do agree with you on that Frank Gambale video. It's accessible if you know what he's talking about already. and make sense. But it's like if you don't have a clue, then it's like, okay, what the hell's he talking about? Let's see what's been going on in the chat while I've been. Ravensmead is asking, have I ever had a Line 6 guitar? There is a review of me doing a video of me doing a review of a Line 6 Variax on the channel. That'll have been probably a couple of years ago. And it was a nice guitar. I mean, it played really nice, and the sounds were very most of the sounds were very convincing. There was, in some of the kind of tones it generated, especially the acoustic tones, there was a little bit, you could hear it was a digital kind of simulation. There's that little bit of artifact there. But in terms of having a guitar that sounds like a Telecaster and like a Les Paul and like the Stratocaster, then it was very, very convincing, especially in a mix. The problem I had with it was that you don't realize how much the feel of a guitar makes you play a certain way. And for instance, especially with Telecasters, that sort of Telecaster feel where everything's just that little bit stiffer and tighter and more kind of resistant, it makes you dig in a little bit more to get the kind of, and thrash the guitar a little bit more. And then when you go to a Les Paul, it's a bit more slinkier and kind of more kind of cooperative. And a Strat feels different as well. And for me, the off-putting thing with the Line 6 Variax was that obviously the sounds all sounded, pretty convincing, but the feel just felt weird playing something that felt like a Strat and a Les Paul sound coming out. It was like you were opening your mouth and suddenly you were speaking with someone else's voice. That's the only way I can describe it. And that perhaps that's just me. Perhaps that's just like a little idiosyncrasy with me. But I can see why they are popular. But it just wasn't a guitar that sort of made me think, I want one of those. And Pablo Hank, you've summed up there well, mate. Guitarists generally don't want one guitar to do it all. We want a Strat, a Tele, a Les Paul, etc. Yeah. And it was a Variax standard, mate. Let's have a look, see what else. David Evans, that is a common misconception about modes. Doesn't the Ionian start on C and the Dorian start on D, etc.? That's what confused me for many, many years. It's not about where you start. It's about the note that you emphasize. And that's, and the way you emphasize a note. For example, okay, quick theory lesson coming up here. If you take this song, and this will probably get the live stream demonetized, but I don't care. If you take a song that goes a bit like this, we all know what that song is, okay? Ask any guitar player what key that's in, and they'll say it's in D minor. It's actually in the key of C, because the other chords that are in that song are G, F, and C, okay? Kind of goes to a few bars on the G chord, and then all in all, you're just another brick in the wall. So we've got all of those chords there, D minor, G, F, and C. They're all in the key of C, but we're emphasizing the D minor chord. So that song is actually in the key of C major, but because you're emphasizing the D note via the D minor chord, it's actually in the Dorian mode, the second mode in the key of C major. So there you go. Let's see what else we've been talking about. What's been going on? Michael Broadhead is saying the perfect PRS would look like a Les Paul. Yeah, Jay Ao Young, Line 6 was like the jack of all trades and the master of none. I can go with that. Now, Aria Pro 2 guitars, they were great guitars as well. Still are. There's a video up on YouTube of somebody restoring a really manky one from the 80s. I don't know if you've seen that. Have you ever played a guitar MIDI controller, John? I think I did many years ago. I might be wrong, but yes, but it didn't leave a lasting impression on me. What else we got? Was that Sweet Home Alabama? Time Prophet is saying, am I the only one who thinks Les Pauls look ugly? Possibly, mate. Possibly, but then again, am I the only one who thinks that Jazz Masters look ugly? You know, I did a video ages ago called Guitars That Make Me Go, nah. And Jazz Masters were well on that list. I just don't like Fender offsets. Henry William is saying, is your PRS a Mira or an S2? It's an S2 standard 24 satin. Yeah, I had an S2 Vela before this, which was a guitar I made every effort I could to fall in love with and just couldn't quite manage it. So it went, and the S2 standard 24 was the replacement. Mine's a 2016 model, bought it used. Yeah, it's just a superb, stupendously good guitar. John Jones is saying Telecasters are ugly, stubby, and unsexy. Well, beauty is in the eye of the beholder, mate. You know, I think Telecasters have just a beautiful look about them. They remind me, and I can't express this why, but the design of a Telecaster, especially an old 50s one, you know, with a kind of the butterscotch and the black guard and everything. For some reason, they remind me of the Supermarine Spitfire. There's just something about that sort of form and function coming together to produce something beautiful. Oh, Anton, you're way behind the curve there, mate. We've already seen Blondie, but if you want to see her again, there she is. And I mean, this pretty much sums up where I am as a guitarist at the moment. You know, I like humbuckers. I like twin humbuckers. I like Les Paul kind of thing. So mahogany, rosewood, flame maple. I like humbuckers, and I like Telecasters. So hence, you know, it's Telecaster shape, bolt on neck, and all the rest of it. But yeah, just put my hands on this now. It's like, why do I ever play anything else? But then again, there is reputedly a little sister for Blondie turning up sometime soon, I'm told, by Dan, who makes these guitars. Semi-hollow with a tortoiseshell pick guard. God, he knows me really well, doesn't he? Jay Ao Young is saying the lag is bad today. The stream stopped for about 20 seconds and restarted where it left off. So I'm now currently 20 seconds behind. Need to refresh the page and go back to the flipping few. Where? Well, you're only 20 seconds behind, mate. I sometimes feel like I'm about 20 years behind the rest of the world, but that's an entire other story. Colin Falcon is something of the Telecaster fan. I've had a few of your guitars, in here, mate, haven't I? You know, so anytime you get a new purchase and you want to see it on YouTube, just let me know. Where are we? Mickey Walnuts, I'm with you on that one. The Eastman Les Paul with a violin varnish finish has to be the most beautiful guitar on the planet. Yeah, every time I see, I don't know if you saw Guitarista's video today, where he's talking about putting out shorter videos. I'll believe that when I see it, Colin, frankly, mate. You know, but yeah, he was playing his Eastman SB59 there, and I just thought, yeah. Talking about guitars that make me curious, the top 5 video that's coming up on Tuesday, that is on the list. Just a little spoiler alert. I'll just need to... 99% of guitars are beautiful indeed, and we all have that 1% that we think are exactly the opposite, don't we? Michael Purcell, Telly is the first solid body guitar. Not quite, mate. Not quite. You know, it depends how you define it. It was certainly the first mass-produced solid body guitar, but there was the Paul Bigsby Merle Travis guitar. That was a solid body guitar, and that dates from the 40s. And then obviously the Les Paul Log as well. But certainly the first commercially available mass market, mass produced solid body guitar. It's one of those things. It's a little bit like you ask who invented you know, the steam engine, and people will say will say James Watt. But you know, there was Richard Trevithick, wasn't there? Before that, who invented the train? You know, well, it was George Stephenson, but there were people who kind of, you know, were there before him as well. So it's one of those things that it's people always tend to think of like the first mass-produced commercially available one, I guess. So I guess the Telecaster was that, wasn't it? Malcolm Porter, I beg your pardon. I prefer cheap guitars, but ones that are well made and can be upgraded with decent pups. Can you recommend an inexpensive Telecaster? I can indeed. If I go like that, you can see that green Telecaster on the wall behind me. That is a Faisley Outlaw Coyote Plus. Full disclosure here, Faisley sent me that guitar to review. And I was so blown away with it. Hand-stained ash body, roasted maple neck, Wilkinson hardware. I was so blown away by it that I said, yeah, send me the bill. You're not getting this one back. I'm keeping this one. And they very, very generously said, nope, you can have that one on us. That was a freebie from Bax Music, who own the Faisley brand. And you know, so I accepted, obviously, very gratefully. Why wouldn't you? But I would have been happy to pay a street price for it. They're about 150 quid, and they are a fantastic modding platform. I put better pots and pickups and a switch in it, put some locking tuners in it as well. And it's, you know, it's my go-to guitar whenever I want like a proper old school Telecaster. And you know, if you buy one of those for about 150 quid and put roughly the same amount into it in terms of pickups and so on, then you're going to have something that's better, I would say, than Fender Player Plus. They're a fantastic guitar, so just grab one. Colin Falcon is saying Squire Telly's a great modding platforms. Can't argue with you on that one, mate. And what else have we got before we wrap up the stream? Because there's some chili downstairs that's oh, Rickenbacker frying pan, says Mickey Walnuts. Good point, mate. Yes. I suppose we forget about that, don't we? Because that was like a lap steel guitar. But when we talk about guitars, we think about guitars that we play like this. But yeah, the Rickenbacker frying pan was probably the first solid-bodied electric guitar that was commercially available. Great point, mate. I stand corrected. Anyway, chaps, we are 59 seconds and at current count 45 seconds into the stream. And there's another stream I need to go and take care of. Not to kind of get too vulgar about things, but you know what I'm saying. So I'm going to wrap things up there. And thank you so much, everyone, for turning up and watching a fat, bald lad talk absolute cobblers for an hour. It's been a blast, and I'll keep on doing it till you're sick of me. And I just say, J. Aoyong as... thank you so much, mate. You are a gentleman and a scholar. Thank you so much. That was absolutely more than generous of you. Thank you. Anyway, I'm off now. I'm going to go and insult the porcelain and have some food. I'll see you all on the next one. Bye for now.